What's going on, everybody out there? This is Popular Stranger, and we are back at you again today with another Madden 22 Ultimate Team video. Most Feared promo part 2 dropped earlier this morning, and we did drop a video going over everything that you need to know about it. So we are going to link that one down below in the comments as a pinned comment section, because you want to make sure you watch that one first, right? If you did already, thank you so much. In this video, we're going to go over the cheapest ways to get either Ray Lewis, Randy Moss, or Lawrence Taylor sets done, and you're really going to want to pay attention here because you can get some really good value. We're going to do a lot of math, and I know sometimes I kind of ramble on when I do these things, but trust me, it's going to be worth it for this video. If you do find it helpful, if you find it useful, if the method works out for you, be sure to go ahead and click that thumbs up because it shows a ton of support on these videos. It helps my channel grow, and I thank you guys for supporting me. I truly do. Also, if you're new here, if you found this video looking around for Most Feared content, or maybe the video was recommended to you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Turn that notification bell on as well so you guys are alerted when we drop additional videos. We'll likely have one more coming later on today, so let's go ahead and get on into the method, and I think you guys are going to like this one, right? So the goal here, right, is to go to get one of these sets done. Ray Lewis, Randy Moss, Lawrence Taylor. You can do it for Gronk as well, but I really wouldn't recommend it per se. I mean, unless you really need the card. But these three names, these three cards are really good, and they're very highly desired items, and we're going to find a way to either get them extremely, well, I shouldn't say extremely cheap, but right, the cheapest way possible. I'm trying to save you as many coins, and we're going to look at another method where you can basically get 490 overall cards for really cheap. So we'll talk about it all. The main goal with these sets, pretty straightforward. You need 490 overall heroes to put into this set, and when you put them into one of these sets, you're going to get the 93 overall champion card, their power up, and then a fantasy pack that also lets you pick any 4 of the 16 90 overall most feared cards that have come out so far. So 8 came out last Friday, 8 today. Out of the 16 there's definitely 4 really solid ones that I think anybody watching this video could use to improve their team. Now, what I'm going to go over here isn't basically saying you have to do these objectives, but I do want to point it out that this is a way as well, and that is that the most feared objectives, which are currently on, in the game, if you go over to missions and you actually want to go to Ultimate Season and then take a look here at the most feared objectives, if you complete this entire list, you can get 290 overall auctionable, tradable, and collectible most feared cards. What I'm going to do with all the math and the numbers doesn't require that you need these 2 cards, but I just wanted to point it out because you can get 2 of the 4 cards you need to get one of these sets done from knocking out the objectives. When you hit 13 of the 20 missions or objectives on this entire list, you're going to get 1 fantasy pack, and then when you hit the, all 20, you'll get a second fantasy pack. One of the objectives in here is to score 2,000 points in house rules, and earlier today when we dropped that video, the house rules was not available yet, but you can go in and play house rules now. I played like 4 or 5 games on my no money spent squad, and you can easily score like 50, 60, 70, 80 points a game, so getting that 2,000 point objective should be pretty easy. One game I had 96 points. I got like a scoop and score fumble, and I went from like 40 points to 96. It was kind of insane. And also, before we get into the math of things, this is a little unrelated, but these missions were not available at the time that I did the video. If you do go in and play the house rules, you're earning all those points towards that 2,000 point objective, but also if you get 15 wins in this game mode, there's some additional rewards leading up to that, but at 15 wins here, you're going to get yourself a 90 NCAT Release 2 Hero Fantasy Pack. If you have trouble or wondering who you guys should pick for your Release 2 Fantasy Pack, we're going to link another video down below in the comments section. That's going to give you all of the best cards and ideas of what cards to pick from that Release 2 Fantasy Pack, so go check that out. And I got like 4 wins in 5 games, so I'm not the most skilled player when it comes to Madden, but the house rules, people really quit really fast, so go play it. It's worth it, especially if you're trying to knock out and get all 20 objectives to get those 2 free 90s. So let's now talk about what we would be doing here starting from scratch. Remember, we need 490 overall most feared cards, and I'm gonna say on average, this is PlayStation of course, they're about 135k. So again, I reiterate, this is starting from scratch. assuming you had to buy all 4 90s, you had none of them in your possession, 135k each, that would cost you a grand total of 540,000 coins. In other words, you would have to spend 540k to buy the 4 pieces you need to complete, we'll just say the Randy Moss set. In return for that 540k, you would be getting Randy Moss's power up plus 4 of the 1690 overall most feared cards back. They would be net, meaning that you can't put them into other collections, you can't trade them, can't sell them, you can eventually quick sell them, but again, I think there are 4 out of the 1690 overalls that any of you guys could put on your squad to make your team better. So honestly, for 540k, that's not a bad deal, just saying that right up front, but we can do it much cheaper, and this is how. We're going to use the training pack, and this is something that we did with the Campus Hero promo. We did it with the Ultimate Kickoff promo. You could have done it last week with this promo when the first part came out. If we head on over to the training store, 90 overall most feared player pack is 5,500 training. This is going to give you a random 90. The good thing is those sets are wild cards, meaning you can put any one of these 90s in there. It doesn't matter. And when you get that fantasy pack, you can pick any 4 that you want, regardless of what 4 cards you put into the set to get it done. So if you do the math and you have to open up this pack 4 times at 5,500 training, that would be a grand total of 22,000 training you would need to open up this pack 4 times. And the crazy thing here is that training is actually kind of up in price, I think, because a lot of people are re-rolling, you know, this 78 plus most feared pack, and I'll probably roll it a little bit as well tonight because there's a pretty solid limited and Brandon Marshall that's in that pack, and it's just overall fun to do re-rolls, and people need training to power up all these new cards, whether it's Randy, LT, Ray Lewis, whoever. So training is kind of up in price, but even with it being up, this is the easier way to buy this pack 4 times. So if we take a look at the current training market, here it is. Now you can get 83 overalls for 7.4k, and that's going to equal 21.76 coins per training point. The only problem here is 83 is quick sell for 340 training, and you need 22,000. So it's going to take you forever to buy a bunch of 83s to get enough training, 22,000 to be exact, to be able to open up that pack 4 times. Now those 83s are 21.76 coins per training point. Remember to calculate that, you're just going to divide the cost of the card by the amount of training you're going to get. And we're going to use 2 examples. I rounded up a little bit and said 22 coins per training point, and then I'm even going to give you some numbers at 23 coins per training point, which you can definitely get. You see 89s at 72.6k, a little bit under that. That's going to be 23 coins per training point, and then 87s at 34.4k is 22.90. So you still have a little wiggle room to go up. So at 22 coins per training point, meaning you have to go on the auction house and find a bunch of cards that are right around above or, you know, right at 22 coins per training point, that would cost you 484,000 coins. And how do we get to that number? We basically take the number of training we need, which remember is 22,000 training, and we multiply it by 22. That's 22 coins per training point. That means it would cost us 484k to get enough training to buy this pack and open it up 4 times. Now, on the flip side, even if we went with 23 coins per training point and we bought enough training to get to 22k in training, that would cost us 506,000. And again, I got to that number by taking 22,000, which is the amount of training we need to open up this pack 4 times, and we multiplied it by 23, which is the amount of coins per training point that we're going to be getting from this. And this is mutt.gg/prices. Bookmark it, check it every day. This gives you a good idea of where the market's at. So 23 coins per training point, that would cost about 506,000 coins to buy enough training to once again open up this pack 4 times. So already with those 2 numbers, 22 coins per training point will cost 44k, 23 coins per training point will cost 506k. That is cheaper than buying the 90s 4 times at 35k each. Remember, that would have cost us 540. So we're already finding ways to get that set done cheaper. And if your main intention is to get Randy Moss or Ray Lewis or Lawrence Taylor, boom, that's it. That's the end of the method. That's all you have to do. That's going to save you some coin. Is it a ton? No, I'll be honest, it's not. But if you can save coins anywhere, go for it, do it absolutely. Now on the flip side, and this is something that a lot of you no money spent players could do, and it's something that, again, we did with Campus Heroes and Ultimate Kickoffs, is if we now, you know, assuming we get our cards that we need, we quick sell them, we buy that training pack 4 times, and then we put them into whatever set we want. And I'm going to use LT or Randy Moss as an example. Let's go ahead and look up their prices on the auction house currently, right? If you did the Randy Moss set, and I used 415K as an example, so we are undercutting the cheapest card right now that's on the auction house. Say I did that whole method I just went through, right, at the prices that I got them at, and then I sold Randy Moss for 415K. After selling Randy Moss for 415K, I would get back 373K because of taxes. Now, if we factor in spending, assuming we got all the cards we needed at 22 coins per training point, remember, we spent 448K. If we take what we spent there, 484, and subtract 373 from it, which is what we got back for selling Randy Moss, that means to do that set, it costs us a grand total of 111K. Now you're saying, Pop, why would you do that to sell the Randy Moss? Because you're now getting back those 4 cards. Remember, 4 of the 16 possibles, 90 overall cards, you're basically getting those back, and yes, they are net, but you're getting them for 111K. Guess what? You divide that by 4, that means those cards were 28K per card. I reiterate, yes, they are net. You can't auction, can't trade them. You can quick sell them for a small value later on. But to get 490 overalls that are normally 135K on the auction house at 28K each, even though they're net, I think that's a great deal. It's a great way for you no money spent guys to build up your squad right now. And on the flip side, even if we could only get our coins or our training at 23 coins per training point, remember we said that would have cost us about 506K. That's what we would have to spend. We sell the Randy Moss, we get the 373 back. We take 506K, which is what we spent, subtract 373, which is what we get back for selling Moss. That means we spent about 133K to do that set. You divide that by 4, it means you got each card for 34K. Again, 135,000 card for 34K, and you get 4 of them to build up your squad. That's something that I think a lot of you no money spent guys should do, because you're going to improve the squad. You're going to get some solid players. There's a lot of good offensive and defensive line guys on there. You got some good wide receivers, good safeties, just a lot of good cards to build and improve your squad for very little coin. So to wrap it up, you can take this one of 2 ways. We can use all the math we just did to get your desired item, whether it's Moss, Ray Lewis, Lawrence Taylor, even if it's Gronk. We showed you the way to do it as cheap as possible. If you can't really afford these higher end guys, we just showed you a way to spend less than 130K to basically get 490 overalls. Hopefully we were clear in everything we went over. You may have to rewind it and watch it back, or break out the pen and pad and write things down. That's typically what I do. I mean, look it, this is all for this video today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back with one more later today. My name is Popular Stranger. I'm out. Peace.